Robbie died on New Year's Eve, so the end of 86, 87. He just escaped having to be buried in concrete. People had to be buried in concrete. I wasn't allowed to view the body.
4 of my lovers died all in the late 80s, early 90s.
We were just at that point, if you like, of feeling hopeful about us. And he'd gone to his hospital and he didn't see his own consultant at that time. But he was told, basically, and it was a word which I don't hear anymore, thankfully, but he was told he was a treatment failure.
By the time Robert came out of hospital, he was 4.5 stone. I could carry him up 4 flights of stairs to his bathroom because he wanted a bath in his bath. You know what I mean? We forget this completely devastating impact.
We were supposed to meet on the Monday, and unfortunately I kept phoning, couldn't get hold of him, and by the Tuesday, when I was phoning, the police answered the phone, and he'd hung himself.
The early 80s and the mid-80s and the early 90s was typified, for me, by burying people. Of just knowing all those people who you knew around on the scene were dying.
Everybody can get over a broken heart, or maybe 2 in their life, right? 30 of them? 40? So when you're wanting to reconnect with somebody, how do you do that? When you know that your guts are going to be pulled out, that you are going to become so incredibly raw again.
I wasn't going to tell my friends because I would sit in conversations and people would say, if anybody with HIV was part of a group I was sitting in, I would just leave, you know. And I was sitting right in the middle of these conversations. And I thought, there's no way I was going to disclose my status.
You know, we were all double gloved and double gowned, and he was kept in an isolation room. All of his cutlery was plastic, paper plates. Even his notes had infectious written on them. We didn't touch them without gloves on. You know, his bedding was burnt. I mean, it was just horrendous.
Nobody thought to test me because I was, you know, straight white woman. I hope it will be different nowadays. I'm pretty sure it will be, but back in those days, you know, I didn't really know any women who were positive.
And I remember one of my colleagues actually years later got diagnosed with HIV. And I was really taken aback because I'd worked with him for years. And at a Christmas do a couple of years later, we were all sitting around. It was a work Christmas do. And he was sitting over there. And he said to no one in particular, he said, "I'm so glad to be alive." And it still chokes me to think of that because I felt the same. It was really emotional, that moment. It still is.
His junior doctor said, does Robbie, you know, I'd like to give him diamorphine, which is a polite way of saying, you know. And I'm going, yeah, fine. He said, does Robbie know he's dying? And I said, yes. And the doctor burst into tears. Doctors and nurses used to go to people's funerals, you know, kind of, because in a strange kind of way, we were all in this together. And I think HIV care, in a way, became the model, you know, the gold standard of care in the UK for the NHS.
And also considering the pain and tears of people from the 80s and the 90s who lived through the nightmares of the epidemic, who've been tested on to get this medication into my hands today. I suddenly felt this responsibility that I somehow need to cherish the lives that were sacrificed.
It seems to me that the history of HIV/AIDS must teach us the value of compassion, must teach us the value of hope, because what seemed utterly dark and pointless and cruel has been treated and has been turned into something of hope. And especially in these days when things are strange and turning, you want to hold up this beacon of togetherness and solidarity and unity.